It's amazing how every few days there are brand new players we talk about in these top 10 transfer videos. There are a few players who stick around, but most of them are different because every day we're getting new players who are putting their name into the portal. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the 10 best players who are currently sitting in the transfer portal and haven't yet decided on a brand new team. Before we get to today's video, make sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications if you're new to my channel. If you're watching this video, odds are you're a college football fan, and odds are you aren't subscribed to my channel. So make sure to join the best college football community here on YouTube. Also, if you could drop a like on this video, I would greatly appreciate it as well. It helps the algorithm of the video and helps share with more college football fans. Plus, it only takes a second to do. For like the third straight video, Caleb Williams has the top spot on this list. He's officially been in the transfer portal now for 2 weeks, and I'm surprised it's lasted this long. The second he entered the portal, I think we all can agree that we thought USC would be the favorite to land him. Although I still think he ends up with the Trojans, I seriously don't know what's taken him so long to make this decision. I mean, at this rate, he has to be stalling to make this decision more exciting, at least you would think. I mean, why else would you take this long when it's likely going to be USC? My only guess at this point is that he might be having some doubt about leaving Oklahoma, or maybe there's another team in the mix that's really making a strong push for him. And when I say a strong push, I mean they're making an offer for more money to be involved. Either way, I still think Caleb ends up at USC, but he's sure making this entire process that much more interesting by having us on the edge of our seat. I mean, his top wide receiver from Oklahoma in Mario Williams already committed to USC. Like, we really know what the answer is already going to be. Well, at least he's extending his stay on this list. Speaking of USC quarterbacks, Jackson Dart is still in the transfer portal as well, although it looks like his decision is going to be coming soon. According to reports, it looks like he's down to between two schools, Ole Miss and Oklahoma. Now, wouldn't that be something if USC and Oklahoma ultimately just switched quarterbacks? I'm not quite certain though as to why he'd want to go to Oklahoma unless Dillon Gabriel wants to transfer again. But hey, maybe since he was at UCLA for about 24 hours, he ends up transferring. My guess though is that Dart ends up at Ole Miss, mainly because Lane Kiffin has been working his ass off to get a quarterback all off season. Also, because him and Jackson Dart just dropped one of the coldest picks of the entire offseason. We saw how Matt Corral was last season with the Rebels, and I think Jackson Dart could thrive under Lane Kiffin. It's easy to forget, but Jackson Dart was one of the top quarterback recruits when he came out of high school. He didn't quite blow people away at USC, but if you remember his first game in Washington State, he was electric and looked like a top quarterback prospect. I think Ole Miss would be in great hands with Dart. The next one on the list isn't a total surprise considering where he's at in his career, but Georgia quarterback JT Daniels is expected to enter the NCAA transfer portal, but he still plans to get his degree from Georgia this spring and leave as a graduate. As of right now, this isn't official, but it looks like Daniels will be looking to transfer to his third program. Georgia just won the Natty with Stetson Bennett, who's likely going to return next season, so it makes sense for JT Daniels to try and transfer somewhere where he'll have a chance of being the starting quarterback, since it clearly didn't work out with Georgia. We can't really make an argument now, considering Stetson Bennett just won the national championship as the starting quarterback, but I think a lot of people still firmly believe that JT Daniels is the better quarterback of the two. If he ends up transferring, it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up. He's a former 5-star quarterback who showed flashes and has had games in his career where he looks like a really good quarterback. Personally, if I were JT Daniels, I would want to transfer to a team that plays Georgia next season, so he can personally try and take down Kirby Smart to prove his point that he's the better quarterback. The next player on this list is actually very shocking, as Oregon running back Travis Dye entered the portal last week. He was one of the best running backs in all of college football last season with the Ducks, and was most of Oregon's offense. He rushed for 1,300 yards and averaged 6 yards a carry while adding 14 touchdowns on the ground. In addition, he was arguably Oregon's best pass catcher as he had 46 receptions for 400 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. Maybe the backfield is going to be too crowded for Oregon in 2022 and he wants to go to a place where he'll see a bulk of the carries. But seeing a player at a school like Oregon who produced the way he did certainly is shocking to see enter the transfer portal. Maybe he ends up back at Oregon and he just wanted to test the waters and see what was out there. But wherever he ends up, that program is going to be adding a damn good running back who can be an absolute game changer. Brendan Rice recently entered the transfer portal, and for those curious, yes, he's the son of NFL legend Jerry Rice. He had a pretty decent 2 years at Colorado, but he didn't see a whole lot of touches. When he did though, he made the most of it. This past season, he caught 21 passes for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had 6 rush attempts for 54 yards and 17 kick returns for 470 yards. Overall, in his 2 seasons with the Buffaloes, he averaged 20 yards per touch on only 53 touches. Like I said, it was a very small sample size, but he proved to be electric when he got involved. He went to high school in Arizona, but Oregon was in on him until he committed to Colorado. However, if you take a look at his crystal ball on 24/7 Sports, they currently have him projected to go to USC. Now, wouldn't that be amazing for Lincoln Riley to add yet another amazing wide receiver? All Brendan Rice will need is a quarterback to throw him the ball. Our next player is former Missouri defensive lineman Makai Wingo. He appeared in 11 games last season for the Tigers as a true freshman and made 3 starts. He finished the season with 21 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 1 sack, and an interception that he housed 40 yards for a touchdown. He was named to the SEC All-Freshman team and looked like one of the best young defensive players in the entire conference. Although he was playing for his hometown team in Missouri, he put his name in the portal. Upon leaving, he said he was looking for more stability in a program and was looking for a culture that's going to be demanding of every player and demand greatness from everyone. So, sounds like he wasn't quite getting that with Missouri. As of right now, he's narrowed his teams down to 4. According to Wingo, he's deciding between USC, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and LSU. One of the best defensive players currently in the portal is former TCU edge rusher Oshawn Mathis. After 4 seasons with the Horned Frogs, he's reopening his recruitment. Mathis' breakout campaign came in 2020, where he led TCU with 9 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. And he was a preseason All-Big 12 pick entering the 2021 season. But his production declined in 2021. He finished with 45 tackles and only had 4 tackles for loss and 2 sacks, the lowest of his last 3 seasons. According to his 24/7 page, there are a lot of crystal balls that have him projected to end up at Texas. Now, that would make a lot of sense as the Longhorns have been killing it with the transfer portal this offseason. We have another Colorado player on this list as running back Jerick Brossard put his name in the portal. He led Colorado in rushing yards the last 2 seasons. He was named the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year in 2020 after he rushed for 900 yards and 5 touchdowns in only 6 games. His production took a massive hit though this past season as he rushed for only 700 yards and 2 touchdowns in 11 games. Although he has only 17 games under his belt, he's a pretty old veteran. He redshirted in 2018 and missed the entire 2019 season with a knee injury. I didn't watch any Colorado games in 2021, so I'm not exactly certain as to what went wrong for him this past year. In 2020, he was averaging more than 160 rushing yards per game. This season, he was averaging only 60 rushing yards a game. That's quite a big drop-off. If he's somehow able to return to the player he was in 2020, this might be one of the biggest running back pickups of the entire transfer portal. Corey Bethley recently entered the portal after announcing he'd be returning to Hawaii for his senior season. He's been a staple of Hawaii's defense over the last few seasons, especially in 2021. He was their best player on defense last season as he was making play after play. In 13 games, he racked up 99 tackles, including 72 solo tackles. He had 8.5 tackles for loss with 4 sacks. He also added 5 interceptions, returning them for a total of 120 yards, including 1 for a touchdown. In addition, he also added 6 pass breakups, a fumble recovery, and 2 forced fumbles. In his 4 seasons with Hawaii, he racked up 291 total tackles with 19.5 tackles for loss, 7 interceptions, 17 pass breakups, and 3 forced fumbles. We'll wrap up this list with Bru McCoy, who was back in the transfer portal. If you guys watched my video from the other day, you would have heard the whole background on his crazy college football journey. If you haven't done so yet, I highly recommend you go and check out that video. But for those who haven't, I'll just give a brief recap. Coming out of high school, Bru McCoy was one of the top recruits in the entire country. He originally committed to USC, but he flipped to Texas shortly after. After he spent some time in Austin, he transferred back to USC. He missed 2019 with an illness, but was back on the field in 2020. He played in 6 games, finishing with 21 catches for 230 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns, but an off-the-field incident forced him to miss all of 2021. Now, his time at USC is over, and he's looking for a fresh start somewhere else. He definitely has the talent to be a great addition somewhere, but the only question is whether or not he's going to be able to figure everything out and give a full season on the field. So, which player on this top 10 list do you think is going to make the biggest impact at their new school in 2022? Also, was there a player in the portal who I didn't include on this list? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you guys smash that subscribe button before you go. If you love college football, then this is definitely the place for you. Oh, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up as well, as it really does help the algorithm of the video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.